Today's guest is a Chicago-born filmmaker. His Sundance debut is a documentary short called The Chimney Sweeper, and you can catch that at Sundance Film Festival. Please welcome filmmaker Jack Raese.
Ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kick it with Tyree, hit it three like Kyrie.
I just want to start by saying congratulations. Could you introduce yourself and kind of talk about your journey to becoming a filmmaker?
Yeah, sure. Well, I really appreciate it. I would say my journey in becoming a filmmaker. Well, my name is Jack Raese. I'm from Chicago, as mentioned, and I'm playing a short at Sundance this year called The Chimney Sweeper, which is a short documentary in the short documentary program. And it's hard to say my journey as a filmmaker because I don't really remember a time that I wasn't doing it. It's kind of always been something that I've been doing. The like kind of corny answer that I give to this question often is that I do remember I found like my mom's old camcorder one time when I think I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. And so it sort of became like a neighborhood activity that my friends and I would do around, and we'd run around with this old camcorder and make, you know, whatever movie we felt like making that day. And that just continued to develop and grow until it, you know, was the thing that made the most sense for me to continue doing for the rest of my life. And here I am. So that's the story.
Okay, man. And you're from Chicago. How do you feel that Chicago kind of shapes your storytelling in the beginning?
I have to confess, I'm actually from the suburbs of Chicago, so I'm not really like I'm not really from Chicago. I was born in Chicago, and I spent the first few years of my life in Chicago, but most of my upbringing was more was north of Chicago. And how has that influenced my filmmaking? I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot of Chicago personalities that I grew up on, you know, like a big influential show for me was Better Call Saul, which is kind of a funny answer, but Bob Odenkirk was a Chicago, and he that got me into a lot of his work. And you know, there's a lot of Chicago comedians that I really like. John Mulaney's from Chicago. I have a big fan of John Mulaney. Yeah, I would say that was like my primary Chicago influence, and how that affected me was learning about Chicago comedians.
Okay. So at the center of The Chimney Sweeper is Marcus. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Whose family has been making nutcrackers for generations. So pretty much the inventors of making nutcrackers.
Yeah.
What drew you to this story specifically?
That's a good question. I think it was well, I've always wanted to make a movie about tradition. I come from a relatively traditional family, and tradition has always been something that has been on my mind, and something that I've always been interested in making a story about. And I found a news article was the original thing. I found a news article that detailed Marcus's life and interviewed him, and he talked about his relationship with his ancestry and coming from this very long nutcracker lineage, and what that was like, and how it made him feel. And even though it was like a written interview, it wasn't, you couldn't see him, it wasn't talking in it, but you could feel so much of his spirit and his personality like bleeding through. Like he had, you could tell, like reading his lines, that he was such a unique and fascinating individual. And so that was enough for me to reach out. I sent him an email, and I was like, hey, I'm a young filmmaker from Chicago. I'm you know, interested in telling a story about you. And we hopped on a Zoom call and just went back and forth for a little bit and got to know each other. And I think we clicked pretty well. I mean, I would say it took us some time to like build our relationship, because he's kind of a face-to-face person, you know, and it was I think more when I arrived to Germany that a lot of the nuts and bolts of the story started to come together. When I met his family, and I saw his workshop, I saw what he did every day, and like from that we formed a very strong friendship, and the movie started to make sense from there.
And for you, what about his relationship to his family's legacy jumped off like the page for you? Like from the moment you like had the idea to like make a documentary
Mhm.
about him?
I think just the specificity of it, maybe,
Hmm.
and the extent to which it has run. Like I think it's so interesting that it's a, you know, everyone knows what a nutcracker is. Everyone sees nutcrackers all the time, but I mean, I've never stopped to wonder and think where maybe they come from, or if there's someone whose entire life revolves around them. You know, it was such a particular devotion to such a particular craft, and you know, nutcrackers mean so much to him, and I found that to be really interesting. And that, you know, not only him but his whole family.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinarily long tradition with an extraordinarily specific commitment that really nobody knows about. And the combination of those three things, I think, was enough to make me feel like I should meet him at least. And then meeting him was the thing that I think carried it away.
Okay. And it's so unique, and it's such a craftsmanship that I feel like is one of one for in certain reasons.
Mm.
And to see it on film, I felt like it was very it just gave me a lot of knowledge of like, okay, what I don't know. And there's
Mm.
like, I've just always thought of it as like just a nutcracker, you know, like
Hey,
I never thought about the
yo, me too.
processes,
Me too.
like the craftsmanship that went into it, you know.
Yeah.
And
The amount of things that he did that were, or the like, he had probably 10 to 20 machines made custom for him for specific parts of making a nutcracker, which is like, wow. Like, I don't know, 20 custom made machines for like individual steps of nutcracker production, machines that are like nowhere else on the planet, like only for this thing. Yeah, I agree with you. There was a lot that I didn't know about it as well. And most of the movie is me just trying to figure it out and like investigating it and you know, trying to learn about it. So yeah.
um you had many hats on this film. Do you
It's
feel
true.
like because you played so many parts, he felt a lot more comfortable with
I think
you, where it
so.
wasn't like a bigger crew behind you? Do you
That
feel
was
like,
yeah, that was part of my strategy when my choice to do it with a very small group of people, just because um you know, I'm not German. I don't speak German, and coming into his family, I very, very much was an outsider. And I think having a stranger walk into your house for a long period of time, I was there for 10 days, you know, and also not just that, but with a camera filming everything, like
mhm,
that can, you know, make people pretty uncomfortable. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't stepping on anybody's toes, and that what I was filming is what the workshop actually looks like when I'm not there as well, and that people aren't
mhm,
performing for the sake of my camera. And I think doing the film alone was definitely a contributor to that, because it was sort of like we made the movie together, me and Marcus. You know, I mean, it's as much his movie as it is my movie, and it was it was
mhm,
very much a collaborative effort between both of us. And I think maybe that would have been detracted from had there, you know, had there been somebody else holding the camera, had there been somebody else
mhm.
asking the questions, but it was always me and it was always him. And so there was a lot of both of our personalities weaved into everything that we did.
Okay. This is more, I don't even know if you can answer this question. Did he ever talk about feeling kind of trapped within his tradition and his
Mm.
family's legacy, or did that kind of emerge just through his observation in the film?
You know, it's interesting because I would never say that he talked about something as explicit as that, but
Mhm,
um you could certainly tell that he had kind of a love-hate relationship with his job.
mhm,
Um, I mean, maybe you could say that because he has this potentially this other dream. Maybe he wanted to be this other thing when he was younger. Maybe not wanted to be a nutcracker maker when he was older. But also, you know, as someone who spent 10 days with him, he loves what he does. He loves making
mhm,
nutcrackers. He loves doing his job. he clearly really enjoys the workshop, the lifestyle, the family around him. He loves that his son comes and works with him, and he has an extreme talent for doing it. I mean, he can like working on that wooden lathe, like he could get that down to a particular. He can cut a particular amount of centimeters off of the wood without needing a ruler or any measurement. Like it's very impressive what he's able to do. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. Because of the craftsmanship of nutcrackers, and
Yeah.
how did you try to mirror the slow process of making one into the film?
That's a good question. There was a couple of different things I tried. I had a few different ideas that of how I was gonna show like all the different steps of the nutcracker making. That ultimately didn't really make it into the movie, because the only time I think I actually show like the wooden production of it is there's like one sequence where he's cutting with the lathe, overlaid with like some voiceover, which is unfortunate because I mean I filmed so many hours of like every individual step of him doing it, and I would say I think in the one part that I did include of him making nutcrackers, I wasn't even trying to make it feel like slow and melodic like maybe it actually is in real life, but my goal was to make it feel kind of loud and almost intense, and sort of like a more action-based scene in the movie and kind of bring up the pace a little bit. But I don't know. I part of me feels like maybe I should have included more, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I would say the other thing that it was important to me about the way that I filmed his work is I bought a very tight lens for this film. I bought like a 300 millimeter lens because I wanted to be able to get like some macros effectively of the very, very, very minute small details of all of the very small things that he does to make this, larger object. Because a lot of careful consideration goes into these nutcrackers that they make. It's a very meticulous design, and I wanted to be able to reflect that and shoot his scenes where he's making them quite meticulously and close and particular to reflect his own strategy.
Okay. That 300 lens. I've never bought like a specific 300 millimeter lens. It's always been like a telephoto or 70 to 300, 100 to 300. I have a 70 to 200.
Okay, cool.
But kind of getting off the subject of your film, kind of talk about you as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
What are some filmmakers that influence you to become one?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With this film, I watched a lot of Werner Herzog documentaries. That was something, because this is actually my first documentary. I usually work in fiction, and so Werner Herzog was like my research tool. I watched like a bunch of his docs to get an idea of what kind of documentaries I like, and on a larger scale, I love well, these are kind of generic answers, but I really like the Coen brothers films. I really like the Safdie's films. Both these brother duos. I'm a fan of both of them. I take a lot of inspiration from the Coens, particularly for this movie as well, because they make a lot of, or at least at a time made a lot of, these quirky, small town, kind of character-based, eccentric plots that are digging into strange psyches when, in very barren landscapes, which is, I love that, and I like to do that as well. And that was something I pulled from a lot with the Chimney Sweeper. Yeah.
Okay. And this film kind of asks big questions about identity and legacy. Like, what legacy would you like to leave as a filmmaker?
Oh man. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm so I feel like I'm just getting started, you know? So it's hard to say where I would like to end up, but uh, I hope I can leave a legacy of making films that make people happy and that people can enjoy and that, you know, can inspire. Marcus always said like his goal was to inspire the next generations. Like he wanted to be such a great nutcracker craftsman that it, you know, makes it impossible that the nutcracker lineage would ever die out. Which maybe it'd be silly to apply that to filmmaking, but I will say I love watching older films and feeling like, you know, we as a younger generation of filmmakers can you know, explore that tradition and keep films alive by watching them and using them as inspiration. And I guess that's maybe what I hope that my legacy could be, is to contribute to the history.
I love that. That's a good answer. I feel like older movies have such a unique feel to them. Like every once in a while I watch, it's called Double Indemnity, and it's just like a femme fatale movie, and it just has such a unique feeling to it, you know, whether the way it's shot or the way it's paced out, the score, everything is today. I feel like today sometimes things feel a little commercial at times.
Sure.
It can feel like I'm watching a T-Mobile commercial at times, and so it just has such a unique feeling in the older films. So, and I kind of grew up on old films because, like I said, I used to spend a lot of time in Chicago with my grandma, and then my dad is like an old soul as well. So
mine as well.
All of the movies he would watch would be from the 70s and 80s. Like, he would. I mean, that's still all he watches. Like, he still watches this one TV show from the 70s when he was a kid all the time. Sanford and Son. But I don't know if you ever heard of it. It was like one of the most popular TV shows in the 70s going into the 80s. But it's hilarious. But he watches it all the time. Like, so I was always indulging in older films. And when I got to film school, you know, you got the chance to kind of start studying them a little bit more and seeing what like history it brings to modern filmmaking and how so many of these stories are just recycled and rewritten. And it started to make me feel like no story is unique, you know. It's all been done before, and it's just the way you tell it and the way your vision is the uniqueness to it, not necessarily the story. So that's what old films did for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the idea that, like, I feel like sometimes people say this thing of oh, every film's been made and you know, anything you come up with, it's probably been done already in a way that is sort of I don't know, almost trying to convince you not to do something because it's been done before. But I disagree with that. I mean, you can't ignore this great, you know, tradition that's come behind you and all of these amazing films that have been made in the past. And it's like, I think, you know, look to celebrate that and reinvent that instead of letting it pull you down. There's no point in trying and your primary goal being to do something that nobody else has done before, because ultimately that's never going to happen. So, you know, it's just about doing what you think is interesting and what makes you happy as a personal artist, and hoping to project that out into the world, and hopefully other people can connect to that as well.
Yeah, your view and your, you know, the way you see the world is the originality that comes with it.
I agree.
And I think that no matter what the story is, like a million zombie stories have been made, but your unique view of how the zombie apocalypse would happen, or think about have you watched Plurbius at all?
Only the first episode, but it was great. I really need to watch the rest of it. Have you seen it?
I've seen it. It's really good, but it's a unique story on, or a unique view on, like, the zombie apocalypse, you know? It's a complete flip. They're not trying to destroy the world. They're trying to, like, make everyone one. And it's just a unique flip on it. And I think that's where the originality comes in. It's just like, everyone has their own identity, and what you put into the film is your identity, not necessarily a unique story. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
kind of just ending off, this is your first documentary, and
Mhm.
it's premiering at the Sundance Film Festival. How does it feel to kind of be a part of that history, especially with it being the last year in Park City?
Yeah. I mean, I feel an incredible amount of gratitude to Sundance for presenting me with this opportunity to,
Mhm.
be a part of this year's program. I mean, such a special year. Not only is it my first time participating in Sundance, but I've also just never been to the festival. Period. I've never been
Mhm.
a spectator at Sundance. So to be able to go at the last year in Park City as my first time, hopefully I'll go more in my life, and uh, I feel so lucky to be a part of it, and I feel so grateful that I can, and mostly just really excited. I don't really know what to expect, and so I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited for the adventure to see what the festival brings and all the movies I'll see and all the people I meet. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited for you, man.
you.
It's such a unique like festival because it is in the mountains.
Yeah.
I always said it feels like you're in Whoville. And
Okay. Okay.
like I
That's
was like,
good
I
to
don't
know.
know why,
Keep that in
but
mind.
that's how it feels when you're there in Park City. I'm just like,
Mhm.
because you're in the mountains, it's
Mhm.
snowy, it's that, and
Yeah.
all the people are really unique in that way.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So you've been before.
yeah, I've covered the festival with other publications before, but this is
Okay.
my first year actually covering it on
Oh,
my
great.
own as my own publication, to say the least. And
Yeah.
it's definitely been a unique experience doing it on my
Mhm.
own because
Oh
on the
yeah.
outside I was just shooting it, so
Gotcha. Okay.
I would I was doing some emailing, some of that, but not
Yeah.
as to this extent where I was like actually reaching out to people,
Yeah.
trying to, plan things. And it taught me a lot. I mean, I feel like Sundance opens a lot of doors for a lot of people. So
Mhm.
it it's done that for me. And
That's great.
I appreciate the festival always. So
That's very
well,
exciting.
I appreciate you doing this, man. Hopefully I'll get to see you at the festival.
I hope so.
Uh, I do plan on going to the documentary shorts program and
Great.
doing the press line there. So if you
Amazing.
see me, stop by me. We'll
Absolutely. Thanks for
have
coming and
a
thanks for having
no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
me.
thanks, thanks for getting on this with me, man. And that's all I have for you today. So
Okay.
you have a
Sounds
good
good.
day, man.
Yeah, you
Good
too. I'll see
Friday.
you in Park City.
See you in Park City, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, that was Jack Raese. Thank you guys for kicking it with Tyree. I'm Tyree. Peace.